What is up, guys? Pup T from Life, Liberty, and the Homestead. And as you can tell from the title, this is truly a video I didn't want to make, but it's been weighing on me since Sunday when I found out. So in this video, I'm going to talk about PTSD and suicide. So if you'd like to watch this video, here we go. So like the title says, this is a video I didn't want to make. It's been weighing heavy on my mind and in my heart since Sunday evening when I found out some news that was all too familiar to me. In the intro, I said I was going to talk about PTSD and suicide. And through this entire video, you're going to see on either side of me, you're going to see suicide prevention hotlines. And they're going to stay up for the whole video. You know, in the military, there was a stigma, and it still could be around. When I was in, if you had PTSD, you didn't talk about it. You didn't go see nobody, you didn't get help, none of that stuff. Because back then, it was known as a career stopper. So depending on where you were, you know, in your career, like myself, you know, I was a sergeant first class, and, you know, letting someone know that I had PTSD, like with inside my unit, or, you know, friends that I had in the military, it's a huge stigma. And if I was to let somebody know at that point in time, you know, they could medically discharge me or discharge me however they wanted, and then I wouldn't have been able to retire or none of that stuff. For me, I didn't necessarily keep it quiet, but I kept it quiet to everybody as far as my family and my friends. The only people I'd let know that I was having trouble is when I would come back from like a deployment. And I would say it started after probably my first deployment to Iraq. So I'd already been to Afghanistan, and then after my deployment to Iraq, came back. I was having some troubles. What they were, I wasn't quite sure. And my first time in Iraq, I didn't go out. I wasn't, you know, I was what they considered a FOBIT, right? So I was an operations sergeant for a detachment. And so I stayed on whatever military installation or FOB that we were at. But one of the things that I did that I felt was so very important was anytime we had, you know, a soldier, whether they were injured or killed in action, when they came back, I would clean up their gear, whether it be a Humvee, their ammo, whatever I could do to help out, because I wasn't going out there. I felt the need to go ahead and do that. So also while I was over there, I was the NCOIC of the funeral detail for all our memorials that we had within our battalion. I'm not sure how many there were. I mean, honestly, I probably lost count because there was quite a few. And for me, there was nothing more honorable, I guess, than to be that NCOIC, or even to be on that memorial detail, because to me it was the last thing that kind of everyone remembers, the 21 gun salute, right? And then they play taps. I think that weighed on me quite a bit. And then helping with cleaning out vehicles and ammo and what, like I said before, whatever I could do to help out. Kind of fast forward for me, I did another tour in Iraq 6 months after I returned from my first tour in Iraq, and the next time I was EOD security. And during EOD security, we seen everything. You know, I left the fob. We did 24-hour shifts where we would go out with a EOD team and be their security. And there was days that, you know, we might get one call, and then there was days that we would get, you know, 4, 5, 6 calls. You know, it could even go higher, you know, to where other squads would have to go out with teams of EOD guys and stuff like that. But I've really seen everything. I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's a thing that I didn't experience on that tour. You know, so we had taken contact a couple different times. We would roll out to sites where, you know, a soldier would be KIA, and some of these people I knew. That weighed heavy on me again. And when I got back, you know, they do the like reception type stuff. You got to talk to all these people, and you write down things that you were exposed to and stuff like that. Well, through those, like my first 3 deployments, not a whole lot of stuff was done probably to assist anybody. So, and this was the time that a lot of soldiers were coming back and, you know, killing their spouses. This was times where, you know, I mean, there was probably thousands of troops. So that includes Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, that were coming back from these deployments and committing suicide because of the things that they saw, did, were a part of, whatever the case was. Then I did my last tour. I went to Afghanistan, where I was a platoon sergeant, and I rolled out quite a bit, not as much as, you know, all my squads, you know, not even as much as my lieutenant, but we did a lot during that deployment, a lot of stuff. And I came back, and same thing, you know, write down on this piece of paper and yada yada yada. Well, after my 3rd deployment and then my 4th deployment, both times they said, well, we're going to arrange for you to see mental health. I said, okay. So, one time out of both of those deployments, I went to mental health. And I believe it was after my 3rd deployment, my 2nd to Iraq. I went to mental health, and they had me do all this stuff, and they said, well, we're going to be in touch with you for further appointments. That never happened. Life never became what it was. For me, you know, struggling with what was going on and not knowing what was going on, honestly. I had no idea that I had PTSD, that I had anxiety and depression, and all those things were severe, and I didn't know it. You know, it wasn't like there was a military manual that told you what you had, so you had to see a mental health professional for them to diagnose you with something. Well, for me, as time went on, I don't remember what year it was. I don't know if it was 2009, 2010, but I'd had enough, and I didn't reach out to anybody. I didn't try to talk to nobody. I was done. I had made my mind up what I was going to do, and, you know, as a good soldier, I was going to execute that mission and to its fullest. So that's what I did, or that's what I attempted to do, right? I went home, and I swallowed just tons of pills, tons of them. I mean, what somebody would say, a copious amount of pills. And I hoped I wouldn't wake up. That was my goal, was to take enough medication that, you know, it would kill me. So this video is for anybody who's struggling, anybody with PTSD, anybody with, thoughts of hurting themselves. It's for anybody. And you can also maybe use this video for educational purposes, as far as if you see the way people are acting. One of the things, like the telltale signs, is that people become introverts. So if they were an extrovert, they become an introvert. They stay in their own little bubble. They do what they got to do, and they don't bother nobody. They don't talk to nobody. All that type of stuff. Another sign is when they start getting rid of a lot of their prized possessions, which can be anything. It can be TVs, PlayStations, Xboxes, Nintendo Switches, computers, it could be a gamut of things that they start to begin to give away. And another step is another sign is if they were somebody who they would talk to a friend or a family member quite a bit, and they just kind of stop. And this is not just the introvert part, right? This is like they stopped calling you, they stopped talking to you. When you call, they're very short with their answers. They're trying to get off the phone because they don't want to deal with life in and of itself. And when you find somebody like that, or you think somebody is being that way, call them more. Reach out to them more and just talk to them. And you don't have to talk to them about, their feelings and stuff like that. Talk to them about anything, something that they enjoyed that maybe right now they're not enjoying, Maybe it's baseball. Talk to them about baseball. Talk to them about, what new game they're playing. Whatever it is, to try to get them to talk and kind of move their mind from where it is back to kind of reality, right? Because I will tell you, somebody who is getting ready to commit suicide, it's generally not a spur of the moment thing. Now, it can be spur of the moment where 1 week they're happy and jolly, and then the next week, they're trying to commit suicide. That can happen. It can happen in a split second, as far as when somebody makes that decision to go ahead and, try to commit suicide. But more times than not, it's over a period of time. But once they've made their mind up, it's not the end. And if you're somebody out there that's struggling, it's not the end. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I promise you. What I dealt with is going to be different than what you're dealing with. And I understand that. And I also understand that I don't know how you're feeling. I can never know how you're feeling, because you are you and I am me, right? Just as you wouldn't know how I was feeling at any point in time, let alone today. The things that I struggle with, you wouldn't understand. That's the big thing, is they just don't understand. People don't understand my problems. You don't know what it's like. And yeah, you're right. I don't understand. They don't understand. We don't know what it's like to be in your situation. We don't. But we are here to listen and to help as much as we can. You just have to reach out to somebody to start a conversation to see life gets better. Is it going to get easier? No. Not right away, There's hills and valleys. I've talked about it before in my PTSD video, that there's hills and valleys, right? You don't see what's so beautiful on the other side until you get to that top of that hill. And then, there's going to come a point in time where you go back down, and you're not going to see the beauty, and then you're going to go back up and you're going to start to see that beauty again. Then it's wonderful. Unfortunately, that's life. But it's also what makes life so great. There's not a time, I would say, since I have gotten better, that I don't view the day as a great day. Now, yeah, there's days I'm like, why is this happening to me? I can't do this, or I can't do that. Oh, my YouTube channel, it's not growing. Whatever the case is, right? Those are little things in life. They're things that matter to you now, but at the end of the day, when we do leave this earth, those things don't matter as much. Just you, the individual, matters. And nobody wants to lose a friend, a father, a mother, brother, sister, aunts, uncle, cousins. No one wants to lose a loved one early. You know, even though right now you may be struggling, I promise you it's going to get better. If you gamble, you know you're going to win and you're going to lose, right? So it's the same with life. Sometimes it's going to be great, sometimes it's going to be not so great, but it's still going to be okay. And it's a whole lot better with you in it than with you out of it. Because again, suicide is nothing more than a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you were to commit suicide today, just think about all the people that affects. You know, just think about a regular death. Your one of your grandparents dies. That's hard on the soul. That's hard on the heart, right? And that's something that generally comes at a natural state, right? That they've grown older, maybe they have a disease, or maybe they just, die of old age. That's hard on individuals. But think about it when your life ends like that. Just up and gone. And everyone around you is going to say, for what? For what reason? There was no reason for that individual to harm themselves, commit suicide, because, again, life goes on. It's just you got to get through the struggle that you're going through right now. And if you're a person who knows an individual that may be struggling, again, reach out to them. I mean, the best thing that you can do is just talk to somebody. Talk to that individual. And don't talk to them about, oh, how are you feeling? Tell me, you can tell them, hey, you can talk to me about it, anything that you want, but they won't, right? We all have our own little secrets that we keep. And somebody who's dealing with, because what I'm aware of, right? Because I have PTSD. With PTSD is we don't talk about what's bothering us and why it's bothering us and stuff like that. We keep that all inside. And I don't know if that's a good thing and I don't know if that's a bad thing, but we carry it, right? Again, being a soldier, carry it on our backs like a rucksack, and we just keep filling that rucksack up until it's so heavy that we break down. And when you reach out to somebody and you observe their change in their mannerisms, or you can tell that something's bothering them, you can ask them, of course, hey, is anything bothering you? No, why? Oh, just asking, you seem a little bit different. No, I'm fine. Okay, great. Don't try to delve into it too much. Instead, just get them talking about something else. Talk about things that they will remember that are good parts in life. Like for me right now, if you're like, you remember in 2016 the Cubs won the World Series? I'll be like, oh yeah. Think about it. If my suicide attempt would have been successful, I would have never seen my beloved Chicago Cubs win the World Series. That's tough to think about. And I know that's maybe a silly thing, but being a Cubs fan as long as I have been my entire life, the one thing I always wanted to see was the Cubs win the World Series. I mean, that's not even talk about. I wouldn't have seen my kids graduate from high school. I wouldn't see my kids drive cars and, fall in love and get their hearts broken, all this stuff. I wouldn't have seen any of this. If you're struggling and you really, really want to be strong, reach out and get help. That makes you strong. When I first started getting help, I didn't think it was helping me at all. And I was just going through the motions and, here I was in group therapy, or here I was with individual therapy, medications and all this other stuff. And I was like, this stuff ain't working. Well, what wasn't working was me. I wasn't putting in the work to make myself better. So once I made that switch to the only way I was going to get better was by participating and doing what these individuals had asked, and then even furthermore, researching things for myself, is when I started getting better. Am I better than what I was? I don't know. That's for my family and friends to decide, not for me. Do I feel better? Yeah, I feel a whole lot better. Life couldn't be any greater than what it is today. It really couldn't. I went from struggling with PTSD and, a suicide attempt and all this stuff to where now we own 35 acres and we own another 10 acres. I hunt with buddies all the time. I talk with buddies all the time. I lived in the same town for a couple years as my best friend. It's been amazing. I mean, it's wonderful now. But I struggle, and you will struggle. We all struggle. It's how we deal with that struggle that does separate us to some extent. But like I said, kind of in the beginning, on Sunday, I was made aware that a brother in arms, a friend, had decided that they had enough of their life and they took their own life. And it's one of those things that never gets easy. You know, we talk about 22 veterans a day commit suicide. That's not a joke. I mean, it happens every day. Active duty, retired, you know, people get so fed up. And what us military people called, you know, civilians, right? I don't even know the number of civilians probably a day that commit suicide. I know it's greater than 22, I would guess. I'm not sure. But I do know, when you think about the military, and as small as it is, 22 a day statistically is the largest number statistically at 22 a day. If you're down and you're struggling, you can call or text, you know, these numbers that are right here that have been up here the entire video. They're there for you. Reach out. Talk to somebody. If not for me, for a friend of yours, for your mother, for your father, you know, reach out for your kids. Talk to somebody. That's it, guys. No fluff in this video. No subscribe. None of that stuff. Just reach out if you need help. I love y'all. We love y'all. We'll see you on the next video.